don't mind, go down into the chat box and just tell me where you're zooming in from. Just curious where everybody's coming in from. Just put the city that you're coming in from. Ah, Norfolk.
Vienna.
You have to say it right. I'm not sure I know how to say it. Norfolk, right?
Norfolk. Boston. Balmer. Good. Balmer. Love Balmer.
Fredericksburg. All right. Arlington. Yeah, those of you coming in, go ahead and put in the chat box where you're zooming in from. We like to see where everybody's from. I saw Boston up there, didn't I?
Yep, Boston, yep.
That's cool.
But it's cold up there.
Oh, yeah.
Lynchburg, good.
Well, today was a really nice day again. I didn't realize it was going to be so warm today. I went out middle of the afternoon to try to take a little walk in between my meetings. And
yeah, that's a good idea.
Welcome, everybody. It's nice to not see you all. It's about 6:01. I'm not sure exactly how many we should expect, but I think I'd like to get started so we have plenty of time. And hi, Ty. I want to make sure we have plenty of time that we can answer questions, any questions that you have. My name is Keith Mellinger. I'm the Dean for Mary Washington's College of Arts and Sciences. So Arts and Sciences is the largest college. We cover, the four big areas: the fine and performing arts, the humanities. So fine and performing arts is like theater, music, that sort of thing. The humanities, which are like the languages, English, classics, religious studies. The social sciences, like political science, sociology, economics, psychology. And then the natural sciences and math, which is, biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, computer science. We sort of put in that category as well. So I'm the dean for all of those areas. And so anybody who comes in not really sure what they want to do, which is what this session is for, this is a great place for you to be. So I believe there's a question in there about recording this, and I do not mind if you record, but just to let everybody else know that's on this Zoom session, if you don't want to be seen or heard, then just mute yourself so that you will not be recorded.
And it is being recorded. I know that.
It is being recorded, and it will be posted by the admissions staff later if you want to watch later. But this is a session for folks who really just aren't sure what they want to major in college. That's the point of this session. So Paul, you want to introduce yourself before we continue?
Yeah. So I'm Paul Binkley. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Career and Professional Development at Mary Wash. I get to work with all the students and alumni and all the deans and faculty and such. It's a great time. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Paul plays a pretty central role in helping people with their transition out of Mary Washington. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a short presentation for you, hopefully about 25 minutes, I think, or so. And then we want to cut ourselves off as best as we can, because we can probably talk all night about how much we love this place and what we think we can do for you. But we're going to try to stop ourselves. And I really want to hear from you all and see what kinds of things, what kinds of questions we can answer for you. So as you are listening to the presentation, feel free to put questions in the chat box as you're thinking of them so you don't forget later. And then we'll try to take a look at the chat box later. And then also anybody who wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, we can certainly do that as well. So let's get started here. So again, I'm Keith Mellinger. I'm the Dean for Mary Washington's College of Arts and Sciences. I'm going to give you just a really quick overview of some academic things. This session is about the power of being undecided, okay? If you don't know what you want to major in, it's okay. This is a very good place for you to be. Not this session, I mean this university. This is a very good place for you to be if you're not sure what you want to major in. Your academic program is basically broken into three parts. You have a major, you have general education, and you have electives. Each one is roughly a third of your academic program. General education is probably a little bit less than a third, actually. But the most popular major at Mary Washington for incoming students is, you guessed it, undecided. That's the most common thing. So if you're undecided, you're in a good spot. A lot of students come in undecided. Most of them do, more than anything else. And we're going to help you during your first year or two to try to figure out what it is that you want to major in. Next slide. So we will all take part in the general education curriculum. Everybody who comes in will do that. Couple highlights. You're going to be in a first year seminar. Your first semester, the person who teaches that seminar is going to be your academic advisor, and they're going to give you a lot of advice during the first semester about academics, about being a student, about the university, about your academic program, et cetera, et cetera. I'm very proud of our writing and speaking components of our curriculum. They really help prepare you for life after Mary Washington. Employers love people who can communicate well. Other highlights of our curriculum, the methods section, you're going to take a broad array of courses in different areas. That's a place where you can sometimes figure out what you want to major in. You will also take a course that is digitally intensive and exposes you to the digital world in a very academic way. That's the world we live in, right? We all know that. You've been experiencing it firsthand the last year. You'll take a course in global and diverse perspectives. You'll do some sort of experience that takes you outside the classroom, whether it's an internship that Paul helps you figure out, or a study abroad experience that our Center for International Education helps you with, or a research experience. And you'll also take a course or do an experience that helps you prepare for life after college. What do you do with a liberal arts degree when you leave Mary Washington? It's probably one of the most marketable things, but some people don't realize that. And so we have you take a course in that as well. Next slide. So what do you do if you don't know what you want to major in? Well, first of all, it's not a problem, and it's actually an opportunity. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague here, Paul Binkley, to talk a little bit about that opportunity.
My favorite topic, or one of them actually. It's I like to kind of start off with a big picture of things, kind of give people some data, some factoids and such. And because I don't think a lot of people realize that 75% to 80% of all the work that people do who have a college degree, an undergraduate degree, is not related to their major whatsoever. And 75% of positions found through one degree of separation. So somebody who knows somebody, that kind of thing. And 40 to 45% of work in this country is either gig work or independent consulting work. And employers, though, when they hire someone full time, they want someone who is sticky. And what I mean by that is you will stick around for more than just a year or two. It costs employers a lot of money to recruit and hire and train new people. And so what that means is they want you to be actually really invested in it, really interested in it. You want to stick around, you want to grow professionally within the organization, because then it's really worth their time and money to do it. And the other really interesting piece of information I like to share is that the job that you're going to have after graduation, graduating from Mary Wash, well, a year or two out maybe, likely doesn't exist right now, which is really the interesting thing. It's jobs that we have never thought of before that we know about right now did not exist 5 years ago. And so it's really exciting. And so, that can be really overwhelming, all that information. Like, okay, so why would I major in something, or my job doesn't exist yet? Well, the great thing is that going to college is a real opportunity to explore, and it's an opportunity to really understand better who you are and to try new things and to make mistakes here and there. And so as you can see in the screen right now, a lot of people assume that success is you go from A to B in this straight line, right? Well, that isn't how it really is. I mean, this past year has really shown us that, right? I mean, COVID hit and we all just kind of went in the, I'm still trying to figure out the direction I'm headed in some ways. But these little twists and turns that happen in our lives really give us an opportunity to explore and try new things and be challenged and fail, which is a good thing, because failure is the raw data of life and experiences. And so as you major, or you think about what you want to major in, we want you really to think about that as, what am I interested in? What's pulling me forward? If I get here and I have no interest in accounting, but I happen to take an accounting course or something that has even a little bit of accounting in it and it kind of piques my interest, then we really want you to go for it. I mean, Keith just mentioned how the liberal arts is a extraordinarily marketable degree. And the main reason for that, I believe, is all of these soft skills that people talk about, you know, like communications, leadership, problem solving, teamwork, all these things, you're going to get those every day that you're in a liberal arts institution like Mary Wash. Those, I don't like calling them the soft skills. I prefer calling them the success skills. And what we do in the Career Center, and we're going to help kind of expand out into the rest of the university as well, is we use something called design thinking to help students reframe the way they look at their collegiate experience, to make the connections between all the things they're doing and they're learning and going forward from there. And not being bound by convention or shooting themselves to death. And so some of you may know about design thinking already. It comes out of the Stanford engineering program, but they have a whole design lab that trains hundreds of people, thousands of people every year. And it's important when we go through the principles of this in the class that I teach, that we start with empathy for ourselves. You guys are in a really stressful situation, have been for a long time. And you're adding to that by, oh my gosh, I want to go to college. Where do I go? How do I make these decisions? We need to start with empathy for ourselves to have compassion and to recognize that it's going to be okay. If I make a mistake, I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move forward. And when you start from that point of empathy, you tend to give yourself a lot more space to be curious about what's out there. And I have on the screen, you see, discover your passion, not follow it, discover it. I think passion a lot of times can be a debilitating word because people say to me, well, how do I follow what I'm passionate about if I don't know what I'm passionate about? What do I do? Is it over? Am I done? No, not by any stretch. Right now, let's focus on our curiosity and follow what kind of pulls us forward. Trying stuff, that's another principle of this design thinking that we use. Instead of being in our head all the time, we want to try things, have a bias towards action. And this is where the concept of failure immunity comes into play. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. All of us do that. That's what the twists and turns of life are. You learn from them, you share your ideas with others, and you move forward. You're going to do that when you get here or you go anywhere. Mary Wash, it's extraordinarily supportive environment. The faculty, the staff, we're all here for you. And we want to give you that space to stumble. I mean, if you think about it, if we knew, each one of us, that we're going to be successful at every single thing we do in our lives, why would we bother getting up in the morning, right? Let alone going to college. And so we want you to try these things and be challenged, but then recognize when you find energy in those things. We want you to reframe the way you look at problems. A lot of times I think we get stuck on gravity problems, which are, I can't do anything about gravity unless I become an astronaut, I suppose. It's kind of a chink in my armor there, but you can't escape gravity if you're on the planet, right? So why are we banging our head against the wall trying to beat gravity? There's some things in our lives that can't change. Okay, let's accept those and reframe it and identify the true problem. And we're going to help you do that. And that's kind of part of what researching and exploring majors is all about at Mary Wash. It's also really important to remember that this is a process, not an outcome. Life is a process. You're not going to get to one single point. I mean, I suppose you could say death is kind of that single point, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's not go there. We want to kind of go through all these twists and turns, learning new things, becoming a better person, meeting new people, building a community, all these things that we feel come from our value system. And so remembering that helps too. Like, okay, I messed up on that one test. That's just one test. I can move forward, and maybe I'm not really interested in it. I'm going to be honest with myself and go forward from there. Most importantly for me is to remember that we are not alone. We practice radical collaboration here at Mary Washington. We do something called ideating as much as possible. Ideas grow and thrive when they're put out into the real world, and other people can talk about them and build upon them and come up with new ideas. And so we want you here to feel that and get out there and do it, even if you're an introvert. A lot of people are shocked when I tell them that I'm an introvert. But I try to get my ideas out there as much as possible. That's the best way to kind of promote them and get them moving. So I talked a little bit about these principles, and at the Career Center, what we do to kind of promote these principles is right here. We want to help you use curiosity and confidence. Follow your curiosity and build your passion, discover your passion. And we're going to help you identify your why, your values, your interests, personality, strengths, etc. We're going to help you make experiential connections. Keith mentioned earlier, internships and study abroad and research and shadowing if you're interested in pre-med. We have ways to connect you to institutions where you're going to get that experience, where you get to follow a doctor or a clinician around. Last night I sat in on a really great study abroad alumni panel where these 4 or 5 alumni were talking about their experiences they had at study abroad that kind of just propelled them forward. It was amazing, these great stories they said, and every single story they told was about a mistake they made in the country where they were located and how it really kind of changed the way they looked at their lives. Student employment is a great way to build experience, make a little money, and build a community at Mary Wash. We're going to help you identify those opportunities. Coursework and your projects in your courses. A lot of people don't realize that employers want to see these things that you do in your classes. Tell them that story about the great projects that you're working on, the papers that you're doing, the research you're getting into. And we're going to help you connect with alumni. I mentioned just a minute ago how I don't like the term soft skills. I like success skills. Think about it. Critical thinking, teamwork, communications, leadership, those are all critical for any job you're ever going to have in your entire life, whether it exists now or not. I used to work for the person up in Baltimore, I used to work at Johns Hopkins, and those students are wicked smart. And a lot of them were in engineering. And I would say to them, look, you're going into mechanical engineering, you can do mechanical engineering. Students at Mary Wash who are doing liberal arts can do anything, right out of the box. The key is kind of discovering what it is that they want to do and kind of moving that direction. May not happen right away, but it's still doable. In fact, our students can go on and do a degree in mechanical engineering. So it's a great place to start. Your faculty advisors are going to be your experts, and we help to kind of get them the information, the tools they need to help you make the connections between your classes and your experiential education. And for us, it's all about people. We try to connect with people as much as possible. Right before this session, I was sitting in on a presentation by the Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Arlington. I had no idea that the Diocese of Arlington Catholic Charities represented or placed a quarter of all the refugees that come into the United States and serve them and support them. It was a really great conversation, and it was a great opportunity for our students to learn about it and to learn about internships and volunteering. So one of the main things that the Career Center does is help you connect your academics, your interests, and your curiosity. You are the driver of your education, and when it's time, you'll know when you want to take advantage of the faculty members. You should talk to every single faculty member you have in office hours or whatnot. They are people too. They love talking to students, and they are just so much interesting knowledge. I mean, Keith plays in a bluegrass band. I mean, it's really cool. There's tons of clubs, employment, outside speakers, internships, etc. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff. That can be a little overwhelming. And again, let's go back to the first principle. Let's have a little empathy for ourselves and recognize that I don't have to do everything all at once. Life is a process. Let's kind of go through it piece by piece, baby steps, and kind of learn things about ourselves as we go along and start picking off some ideas and following them as we kind of get excited about them. So down the bottom of the screen right now, you can see there's a few things there where we talk about the James Farmer Center, the Center for International Education, etc. But what I want to do now is I want to turn back to Dean Mellinger here, because he's got a lot of cool stories about research and all that good stuff that's going to pique some of your interest. I guarantee it.
Yeah, there's, you're of course going to get involved in a curriculum. You're going to take courses. Most of you are going to probably be in, 4 or 5 courses a semester as you're working through a curriculum. But, we can't underemphasize all the other opportunities apart from the coursework that Mary Washington offers. And this is one thing that really does separate us from other institutions. I have on the slide there, I have a couple of blog posts. And if you go to the cas.umw.edu website, the College of Arts and Sciences website, you'll see a link to our blog, which we call Beyond the Classroom. And it basically just tells stories of things students are doing beyond the classroom. It's really amazing opportunity. Next slide. That one of the biggest things is research. We really offer a tremendous number of opportunities for students to actually participate in real research. Our faculty here pride themselves in being able to include undergraduate students in their research projects. And we're not just talking about the student who's working in the biology lab. It goes well beyond that. We have art history majors who have been to Florence to research original artwork as part of their program in art history, right? I mean, it really is across the curriculum, every discipline. And it's really just an amazing part of the Mary Washington experience. not only do we offer the opportunities, we fund them. We have a huge budget to support students being able to participate in research. But it's more than just that. If you're interested in international education, you can go on a restoration dive in Bonaire.
Sorry. Was I not supposed to advance?
That's okay. You can go to the Galapagos Islands with Andrew Dolby in the biology department. I love this picture. You can go visit the elephants in Thailand. You can tell who's controlling the slides and who's talking, right? And all of these opportunities are through the Center for International Education. And it's been my experience that there's nothing more impactful than studying in a rigorous academic setting while simultaneously being in another culture. It really changes your life. It really does. The first time I went to another country and studied, it changed my life. It really did. And there's just a lot of opportunities there for students through the Center for International Education. Paul, you want to take us to the end here?
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of wrap up and sum everything, I mean, talking to students who are undecided is probably one of my most favorite things to do, because there's getting them to really kind of talk about their interests and their excitement about something and really help them identify what that is an opportunity to say, okay, so maybe not physics. That doesn't sound like something. What about this? Where can we go with this? And then we're going to help you kind of recognize that it's okay not to know. I mean, it's always better to make a decision earlier in your college career. I mean, I think the sooner you can make a decision or declare a major, the more wiggle room you give yourself later on, but you don't have to make a decision right away, like after your first year. If you change your major, that's completely fine. You know, I was a social science major and I had 5 minors and I studied abroad. And so people say, well, 5 minors, these are things that I was just really interested in. And I fed that kind of excitement around these classes that I took in poli-sci and history and theology, which is one thing I was really interested in. And so I started with my interest and my curiosity and my empathy for myself and recognizing it. Then I tried things. I got out, I tried different clubs. I was the editor of their school paper. We have a lot of students who are doing some really interesting things while they're here. I'm working with a group of students right now in a computer science class to build an app to use in my class. And we have a lot of really interesting discussions about who do we start with? We start with the customer, we start with the students. What's going to be their experience with this? And they get so excited about it. It's really, really interesting. We then kind of reframe problems. We say, well, I'm not getting anywhere with this answer. And am I asking the right question? And we help you do that in the Career Center. All the faculty are going to help you do that. Remembering that life is a process. We're all in it together and we're all learning things as we go. And let's not get too stuck on doing things exactly right. Let's have a good time with it. And then building community. That's you know, I have to say that's probably the one of the greatest characteristics of Mary Washington that I've really kind of leaned into, which is this is a community that really supports itself. During COVID, I have been extraordinarily impressed by leadership and then by all the students too. It has not been easy, and they've stood up, they've done a lot of really good work. So I'm going to turn my mic off now because my cat is about to start crying at me. Hold on one second.
No problem. You can stop sharing, Paul. So yeah, that's the end of what we want, sort of the formal part that we wanted to talk about with you. But what I'd really like to do is open it up and respond to any questions or concerns or anything that you want to talk about. You know, we're here. If you just have a program that you're interested in, I can probably talk to you a little bit about that program. If you have questions about other academic experiences, let us know. What do you want to talk about? What kinds of things can we share with you? You feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to, or if you just want to type it into the chat box, that's perfectly fine.
And if you want to, if you can raise your hand too in the reaction section, and we can call on you.
Oh yeah, that's right. The raise hand function. Who wants to go first? Okay, customizing your own major. So we do have a process for what we call special majors because they're special, because they're not in the catalog already. The process is that you first have to find a faculty member who's willing to sponsor it. Now, we do have some majors that are pretty sort of standard. They're not, it's not something that's in the catalog, but students have requested them so many times that we have sort of a template for them. The one that comes to mind immediately is linguistics. We've had students that want to study linguistics, and journalism is the other one that's come up several times. But you have to find a faculty member who's willing to sort of champion the special major with you. And then you send it to the faculty curriculum committee. They'll look it over and make sure that it has the right balance of upper and lower level courses, the right level of sophistication. And as long as it sort of meets some general criteria, they'll approve it. And then you have that faculty member is your academic advisor for that major program that you've put together. It's not unusual. Actually, it is a standard thing. I'd say every year we approve special majors for, you know, maybe a dozen students or so. So I wouldn't say it's common. I wouldn't say a lot of students do it, but students do it every year. It's a regular thing. It's not unusual for students to do.
There's a question in there, Keith, about, I mentioned that I had 5 minors in my undergrad. I didn't go to Mary Wash. How many minors can you have at Mary Wash? Is it...
Well, in theory, you could have as many as you want, but how many is realistic? The thing that would constrain you is the overlap rule. Mm-hmm. If you have a course that you're using to satisfy one major, you're only allowed to use it for, you're only allowed to use a certain number of courses to satisfy more than one major program, more than one minor program. There's only a certain amount of overlap you're allowed to have. So thinking about the number of credits you need to graduate is 120. Major programs are usually between about 30 and 45 credits. Minor programs are, think of them as about half a major. So 15 to 20 is probably normal for a minor. You can only fit so many in there. You know, if you want to be a career college student and accumulate 500 credits, I suppose you can, but most of you, probably whoever is paying your bill is not going to let you do that. But it's not unusual for somebody to have 2 minors. I do see that regularly, a major and 2 minors. I would say what's most common is a single major. Actually, that more students don't minor in anything at all than do, actually. But there are a lot of minors that fit really well together with a major program. Like if you're a math major and you do a data science minor, or you're a biology major and you do a chemistry minor. So, you know, there's lots of things that kind of fit together nicely. Sociology, and there's a social justice minor. Political science and Middle Eastern studies minor, right? You get the idea. Adding a minor in a language to something else, like you're a business major, but you do a Spanish minor because you're interested in international business, right? There's a lot of common things that fit together well.
It's kind of like adding a little flavor to your major. I think it's like a...
I think that's probably right.
Yeah, I skipped over Tom's question about how we've handled COVID and what do you think that looks like next fall?
You want to take that, Paul? I can tell you what I can tell you what I know, but I think we all understand that there's a lot we don't know. You know, right now, what's the exact question? Let me just make sure I address. Yeah. How have you handled COVID? Okay, here's how we've handled COVID. We brought our students back to campus in this spring semester. For this current semester, we brought them back 1 week late to give us a little more time to prepare, and we have every intention of keeping all the students here throughout the spring. We monitor very, very closely student infections. So we do randomized testing. You could, on any given day, get an email in the morning saying you're required to come get a test. And we do sort of random testing of students, faculty, and staff on a regular basis. If you show symptoms, of course, you're expected to report immediately. We have a few isolation spaces. We have a few quarantine spaces set up on campus so that students can go to those spaces if they test positive. I can say that we are the leaders in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I can say that with utter confidence. And if you don't believe me, go look at the state website, because they have every university listed. They have the cumulative number of cases, and they have the current number of active cases, and Mary Washington is at the bottom, way at the bottom. Yeah. The reason is not because of anything I did or because of anything that Paul did. The reason is because of the students.
Yeah, absolutely.
Students are taking it incredibly seriously. We laid out principles for them, our MMDC, monitor, mask, distance, clean. We laid out a plan for them in the fall, and we said, if you want to be on campus and you want to be successful and stay open, this is what you have to do. And they're pretty much doing it.
Yeah.
We get reports all the time from community members about seeing students down on Caroline Street, which is all the way downtown, and they're still wearing their mask because they know they're supposed to. They're not on campus, but they're still wearing their mask. So we have been really remarkably successful with it. Right now, we are looking forward to the fall. Right now, we are planning to have a regular face-to-face fall semester, and that all the academic planning is done with that in mind. We're scheduling our classes the same way we did in the fall of 2019. We also understand perfectly well that come July, who knows, right? Things could change. We understand there's new strains. We understand there's vaccines out there. We're not sure how they work necessarily with all the new strains that we're seeing. So if we have to pivot, we may make some changes to that. We might move some classes into hybrid formats, but the plan is to have a residential experience for the students, even if we have to put restrictions in place to have an on-campus residential experience. So I hope that gives you enough of an answer that help you understand a little bit about what we're doing.
I had to move locations. I apologize.
I was wondering what happened to you there, Paul.
Yeah, it was one of those things.
There's a question about what's required to declare a major. The rule is that you can declare upon earning 28 credits or after your first semester. So we don't expect you to declare a major right away. I would say a lot of freshmen declare it in their spring semester of their freshman year. I would say that's probably the most common, but it's not unusual for a student to not declare a major until their sophomore year. I would say by the end of the sophomore year, most students have declared. Most, not all, but most do. The process is pretty simple. You go to the department chair for the department you're interested in declaring a major in. So if you were interested in declaring a major in philosophy, you'd go to the chair of the Department of Classics, Philosophy, and Religious Studies, and you'd talk to that person. His name's Joe Romero. He'll probably want to talk to you. He's going to say, come on in, have a seat. Let's chat about the philosophy major so you know what it's about. And then he'll sign a form for you, and that declares your major. And when you declare a major, by the way, the department chair will then assign you an academic advisor in that major program so that you have specialized advice about your curriculum and career path and that sort of thing. I noticed tied into that, somebody asked about double majors. Yes, you can double major. Again, there's an overlap rule, so you got to carefully plan. I can tell you there's a lot of double majors that go on in certain areas that it's not too complicated to do the double major. Like if you were majoring, for instance, in psychology and sociology, that's fairly doable. It's not that difficult to do. What's more challenging is if you're trying to double major in two disciplines that have a very rigorous linear building curriculum, like, for example, biology and chemistry, both. Well, there's a lot of sequence building courses there. And so you got to really plan it out very carefully to make sure that you get everything done if you want to try to be finished in 4 years, which most students do. So hopefully that gives you an idea.
Yeah.
With
Someone asked, is a typical study abroad 1 semester or 1 year, May term, et cetera? There's a lot of different structures of the study abroad opportunities. There are shorter programs that are a week or 2 weeks. I think that there are some that used to anyway go over spring break, and when we get back to having spring break, I think that'll happen. There's some faculty-led programs that happen in the summer that are for 2 or more weeks. And there are semester-long programs. A lot of times I've heard students will do a semester and then just decide that they want to stay another semester on their own. And they work out all the details with the university that, where they're located and such. So there's a lot of different opportunities.
Yeah, it kind of just depends what you're interested in. Our most popular program is the 5-week program in Spain that happens every summer. I remember one year we had 44 students go on that. So that was really popular.
That's
You
fun.
go and you live at the University of Deusto, which is in the sort of northern part of Spain, and you take classes. So you take classes for 5 weeks. If you're a non-Spanish major, you could take introductory courses in the language. If you're a Spanish major who already speaks the language, you can take higher level courses that are taught in Spanish. So it's really a broad spectrum of students go on that program.
I'll
But
tell you
that's
what,
one of the
one of the things one of the great experiences I had when I studied abroad back, before there was electricity, was I lived in Austria, and I went to German class, and there were a few of us, American students, but there were Polish students, there were Russian students, Turkish students. The only thing we had in common was the fact that we were learning German, and it was an amazing way to kind of really get to know people and know that we're all kind of in the same boat. So if you're a little concerned about studying abroad and another language, I say go for it.
Oh yeah,
Jump in.
it really is an amazing experience. Somebody asked about living on campus all 4 years. Yes. Number of students who study abroad. We like to say about 1 in 3. So 33% of our students have an international experience. Now, that means having some international experience. Some of them, they go away for a whole year, right? That's a pretty significant international experience. Others may sign up for the tropical ecology class and they go to the Galapagos Islands for spring break and that's it, right? They're only away for 1 week. But about 1 in every 3 students has some international experience while they're at Mary Washington, which is a very high percentage for a school our size, by the way.
Obviously, that number went down last year, but
well, yeah, I mean, that's because there was no travel.
yeah, exactly.
An internship, is it a requirement for graduation, Paul?
There are some majors that do require an internship. There are a few, like I know psychology does, if I remember correctly.
Well, they require you to do an experiential learning in the major, and most of them do internships.
Right.
But I don't think you have to do an internship. I think you have a couple options.
Okay, so in other words, they are not required. But they are highly, highly encouraged. We have a lot of students every semester who are doing internships for credit. And then there are a large number who are also doing it not for credit. That's usually happening over the summer. And it is possible, by the way, to do an internship for credit and still get paid. For whatever reason, a lot of students assume that you've got to do one or the other. Nope, not at all. We also have internship grants that you can apply for to help defray the cost of, for example, when it happens again, going like traveling up to DC or cost of living that, what have you, just to help you get in and do that internship. So there's a lot of different options there. We're also going to start really marketing and promoting a 0 credit internship option that'll start this summer. And so students can do internships over the summer for credit, but not have to pay the university to do those credits. And the reason that we do that is because a lot of institutions, a lot of companies want students to be doing their internships for credit for legal reasons. There's a lot of federal and state requirements around what's an intern, what's an employee, that kind of stuff. And so they really look for students who are doing it for credit. So we don't want people to do an internship, get paid nothing or next to nothing, and then have to pay for tuition as well. So there's a lot of great options there.
Yeah, one thing that you just made me think of when you were talking, Paul, was you mentioned travel for internships. One of the things that we really have going for us is our location. You can be a residential college student living in Virginia Hall right here. Well, you can't live in Virginia right now because it's under renovation, but you can live in Willard Hall. You could live in Willard Hall, have a wonderful on-campus residential experience, be on the tennis team, right? And still do an internship on Capitol Hill, because you could just walk down to the commuter train and hop on there and go up to Capitol Hill every Tuesday and Thursday. Not every school can boast something like that. And you could be in the nice little college town of Fredericksburg, Virginia, while you're doing this internship on Capitol Hill. It really is a great opportunity. We're right in between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, which is great. The state capital and the national capital.
Right. And there are tons of things between here and there and between all of them. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff there is. I mean, we're kind of in the corridor of power, really.
Yeah, I like, this is probably of less interest to some students, but I love the fact that we have a beautiful river running through town, the Rappahannock River. It provides opportunity for recreation, but also for research, environmental kinds of research. We have a huge naval base. The Naval Surface Warfare Center, Dahlgren Division, is 20 miles east of us. The largest portion of employees out at the naval base come from Mary Washington, University of Mary Washington. If you get a degree in computer science or mathematics or physics and you want a job, you can go out to the base and get a job.
Yeah.
And if you go the other direction, you're only an hour and a half and you're at the Shenandoah National Park,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of cool stuff in this area. And if you're into beaches, you could go down to Virginia Beach too. You can make a day trip out of that too.
Heck, you could go to Colonial Beach. That's not too far away.
That's true, Colonial Beach, yeah, which is closer, much closer.
Yeah, much closer. So someone asked, Rachel asked, how do you submit for credits towards classes for AP classes?
Yes. Yeah, if you took AP classes, you want to just, when you register for your AP test, you want to ask to have your score sent to Mary Washington. When we receive your scores, if you're a deposited student, if we have that you're matriculating to Mary Washington, then they will examine your AP scores and see what equivalencies they count for in our curriculum. If you're interested in seeing, suppose you took the calculus AP test and you got a 3 on it, and you want to know what that counts towards, the easiest thing to do, honestly, is to just go to our website and type in the search box, type advanced placement, and you'll find the website right away. Okay, click on it, and there's a big long list. Right. A huge list of all the different AP tests, all the different scores you can get, and how they translate, what you would get credit for at Mary Washington. Same thing with, I see there's a question about dual enrollment, basically the same thing. If you're enrolled in a class in high school right now with, say, Germanna Community College and any one of the Virginia community colleges, then there's a set policy for how those credits transfer into any one of the 4-year institutions in Virginia. Now, if you're in Boston and you're taking a dual enrollment class through the local community college up there, then I don't know the answer for you off the top of my head. We would have to take a look at what course you took and then make a decision how it would transfer in. But if it's a Virginia community college, there's a set policy for it. You can go and look it up on our website. You can just look at transfer, just look through the transfer schedule. VCU, yeah, it would be part of the transfer policy. You can just look up, you would type in transfer of credit into our website, transfer of credit, and you'll find a list of how the credits transfer from different institutions. If you have, did you do so Amanda Williams, I see, did you do dual enrollment while a high school student with credit earned at VCU? Is that what's going on? Yes, okay. Then what you need to do is send your VCU transcript and we'll take a look at it. Yeah, okay. Percentage of students are in-state, keeps going up every year. Students are not going far for school. It's a nationwide, national movement. We used to be 80% in-state. Now I think we're over 90%. I don't
really?
think yeah, I'm pretty sure. Last I heard, I think we were at like 9% or something like that, out of state. And it's a national movement. And I think honestly, I think the pandemic sort of amplified it a little bit, that people don't want to go too far away. They want to be close to home. And so I think we're going to experience that for probably a few years. But yeah, most of the students are from Virginia. The freshman residence halls, I could not tell you which specific ones are freshman residence halls. I'm sorry, I don't know that. I know Willard is, and I know the one at the bottom of the hill, Marshall is. Other than that, I don't know which ones are freshman residence halls and which ones are for the upperclassmen.
That's one on me. I don't know that either.
Yeah, sorry, you're asking the wrong person. I'm sure if you went to the Residence Life website, there's probably a list right there. What other questions do you have? What other things can we talk about with you?
Or attempt to talk about.
Or attempt to, yeah. You can try to, this is called Stump the Dean. See if you can. Vivian stumped me.
Oh God, you shouldn't put that out there, Keith. That's
Ask me a math question. I'm actually a mathematician by training.
no math questions, please.
Well, I'll tell you what, if, what
4 years.
is, yeah, 4-year and 6-year graduation rates. You know, the data I have is a little dated. So, Paul, why don't you take the next question while I look it up?
Okay.
I know
What is
exactly.
what is the next question?
Oh, you have to make one up.
I have to make up a question. Okay. Geez, what's a good question, you guys? I'm trying to think back to when I was looking to go to school, and you know, how do you make the decision? How do you know you've made the right decision, kind of, or how am I in the right place? The great thing is that you know, making this decision, you really can't make the wrong decision. Oh, and what is the most fun event on campus? That's a great question. So I have to be honest with you, I started working here almost 2 years ago, in June of 2019. And so I missed this event, and it didn't happen last year. And the event is Devil Goat Day, which is students who graduate in odd years are the devils, and the students who graduated in even years are the goats, or something like that. Is that right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Apparently it is a day-long, just fun, friendly competition. They make t-shirts, and apparently it's just a ton of fun. I'm hoping we get to do it again soon, but that's right up there. There are a lot of very similar traditions like that here at Mary Wash. The food, you know, I've been very pleased with the food. I'll be honest, I haven't had it for a while, simply because I haven't been on campus a ton in the last year or so. But I know that it's good. They have a cafeteria. They have a couple different kind of takeaway places, like a pizza and hamburger place. So there's a lot of really good options. So those are good. I mean, I like the food.
Okay, the data that I was thinking about that I could find quickly is the retention rate, which is freshman to sophomore, the percentage of students who return after their freshman year to their sophomore year. And that one's in the mid 80s. Usually we're about 85, 84, 83, something like that percent. If you don't know much about higher ed statistics, you know, really highly regarded liberal arts schools, you know, like Williams College or something like that, one of the really high ranked ones, usually their retention rates are in the low 90s, you know, so we're not at the top of that scale, but we're much, much higher than a normal public would be of our size. So 83% is actually quite good. The graduation rate, you know, we've been touted as having a really high graduation rate, but I can't find it really quickly on the website.
Sure, admissions would have that, or be able to point people to.
Yeah, I'd have to dig through the my data to get that. So I'm sorry, I don't have that off the tip of my tongue. As for the food, I know, Paul, you already answered this, but I want to add one thing. At one of the student panels, somebody asked about if there's any places to get food off campus. And I will say that the student panel raved about the donut shop, which is in walking distance.
Freddy's Donuts.
Yeah, Freddy Donuts. But yeah,
stuff.
and there's a taco place across the street from Freddy's. And if you walk downtown, there's actually a lot of restaurants within walking distance.
There's one main cafeteria on campus that I believe, right?
Well, the UC is the main.
Yeah. Then there's a coffee shop. There's a pizza place. There's a sushi place. Little places. Sorry, my cat has decided to wake up.
There's one big cafeteria, but then there's a couple other little places where you can, you know, grab lunch on the go or just grab some pizza or something like that.
Right.
Popular majors, the top 3 are business, one of the areas of business. Now they actually have several majors, but if I just lump them all together, accounting, finance, marketing, if I just lump them all together, business is one of the top 3. The other 2 are psychology and biology. They're the 3 biggest majors. After that, there's others that have a couple hundred majors in them each. Computer science is pretty popular and it's continuing to grow. They actually have a program now in cybersecurity and in data science, and those are really, really popular hot areas. So they're continuing to grow. The other one that's really growing quite a bit is communication and digital studies.
Yeah.
An incredibly popular major. They went from not existing, it's brand new. It's only, they're at the end of their second year of existence, and they already have almost 200 declared majors. So it's, yeah, very, very popular. Minors in computer science. Well, there's the standard minor in computer science. There's also a minor in data science, and you can actually do a minor in cybersecurity too. A lot of, those are popular. A lot of students that are in those minor programs are majoring either in business or mathematics, or they're just doing the full computer science major and doing a minor in the specialized field. All right, what else? So Paul, what did you major in when you were in college?
Well, so when I was in college, I wanted to be a high school teacher. And so the way they have it set up there is kind of similar to the way it was at Mary Wash, or will be. Was. You'll understand in a second. I had a major in something. So I majored in social sciences and had to minor in secondary ed. So I minored in secondary ed, and then theology and poli-sci, history. And then I decided to get a coaching certificate. So those are my 5 minors.
Wow.
It was just easy, like, social sciences includes poli-sci, history. So I took a couple extra classes and I had a minor in history. So it was fun.
Right. Yeah, I was a math major, but I was dead set that I was going to be a high school calculus teacher. And that got derailed my second year. I just became a lot more interested in other things.
Yeah.
And ended up giving up the education program.
Yeah, when I did my student teaching, I hated it. So I had to drop out. It's just the way it goes. I would have been miserable as a teacher.
I actually really like teaching quite a bit. I just decided I didn't want to be a high school teacher.
Right, exactly.
Honestly. So what was your sport, Paul? That's one of the questions.
I didn't have a sport. I was a nerd. I was a geek. I was the editor of the school paper for 2 years.
Oh, I thought you said you were minoring in coaching of some sort.
My coaching. So no, it was mostly basketball and baseball.
Oh, I see. Okay. So there's a question about classes you'd take undecided, if you're undecided. So here's the way it works. When you decide you want to come to Mary Washington and you pay your deposit, which usually happens in like February, March, April, around that time frame. So this time frame, okay. After you pay your deposit, a couple weeks after that, you're going to get an email sent to you with a little survey. And the survey is going to ask you all sorts of academic kinds of questions. And if you don't know the answers, it's okay. You tell us as much as you can about yourself. That all goes to our Office of Academic Services. They look through your whole list of answers and they construct for you a partial schedule of what you would take your freshman year. You can change it, but they construct a partial schedule for you to try to help you with your fall semester. Then fast forward, in June, July timeframe, you have an orientation. Now this summer, the orientation program is going to be held remote. And that's for 2 reasons. One, the uncertainty due to COVID, of course. But the other reason is because there's a major steam pipe replacement happening on Campus Walk this summer. And so it's going to really disrupt the campus. And we just decided we didn't want to put people through that. So we're just going to do it remote. So what you'll do is you're going to have a private, literally a private one-on-one advising session with a faculty member. So you'll do it via Zoom or something. You'll sit down with that person and you'll talk through your schedule that was constructed and what other courses you'll be interested in taking. And you'll work with them and try to put together a schedule that makes sense for you. Now, if you don't know what you want to major in, they're going to talk you through some options. I mean, when I do these sorts of things, I usually start by saying, okay, well, do you know what you don't want to major in? Do you know for sure what you don't? Like, for instance, do you want to major in physics? And usually the response to that is, I don't think so. Okay, okay, that helps. That's helpful. Okay, then you're probably not going to take physics to satisfy your natural science general education requirement if you're giving me that kind of reaction to physics. So let's talk about other areas. What about a social science? Are you interested in economics or political science? I don't know. Okay, why don't we take 101? Because you might love it. You might love it. So that's what we'll do is talk about that, talk through that with you and help you construct that first semester schedule. Then when you're in your first semester, you're going to take the first year seminar, which by the way is assigned to you based on how you answered that questionnaire. And your first year seminar instructor will be your academic advisor for that whole first semester. In fact, the whole first year. So you'll get to see them every week and you'll get to kind of keep up with them and they'll keep up with you and they'll help you try to decide what to do in the spring and et cetera, et cetera. So you get lots of mentoring, lots of advice throughout your first year.
Someone was asking about the foreign language requirement.
The foreign language requirement. So the general education curriculum says that you need to take 3 semesters of a language. Now you can satisfy that if you took 4 years of a language in high school. A lot of students are doing that these days. Actually, my son is a freshman in high school, and he's already had several years of a language. If you've already taken 4 years of the same language, you can actually be exempt from that requirement. But some students come and they want to take a different language, or they didn't have enough. Yeah, if you're starting fresh, it's 3 semesters. You do 101, 102, and 201 of a language.
Is Latin one of those languages?
You can do Latin and you can do Greek if you want. Very few students actually do that for their language requirement.
And Japanese is new too.
So Spanish is the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
Second most popular are German and French. You know what the third most popular language is, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Japanese.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's the next most popular language. And we just started Japanese this year, this academic year.
Yeah.
It's already the 4th most popular language. Japanese culture is really popular in the U.S. I'm learning.
I was looking through the course calendar the other day, and I saw that we have Arabic too, which I think is great.
Yeah. Arabic, it's not very popular, but we have a dedicated Arabic instructor, and she's really good, actually. She's really good. She's Maysoon. Do you know her?
I don't think I've had the opportunity. Maybe.
But yeah, it's not a popular language, but I think it really enriches the curriculum. Let me see. Did I miss? Okay, can I commit now and then defer a year? Tom, I think the answer is yes, but this is why people like Adam are on this call with us. Maybe he can chime in here. And
hey guys, you most certainly can. I'll put my email in the chat box and I can actually just chat with you afterwards if you'd like, or tomorrow. But most certainly that's something, if you're looking to take a gap year, we can talk about, and you certainly can defer if you'd like to.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Adam.
Sydney, what if you took 3 years of the same language? Typically what happens there is you do a placement test. And so if you take a placement test and you know a lot and you actually place out of the 3rd year, then you're actually exempt from it. But you might take the placement test and it might place you into the third year of language, in which case you'd only have to, like you said, you'd only have to take 1 course and then you'd satisfy the requirement. A lot of students take the placement test because they had some language in high school, but they didn't have 4 years. And so you'd take the placement test.
I would assume that if a student spoke a foreign language at home, they probably could do the same thing. Could they take a placement test in Spanish?
Yeah. You basically email the department chair for modern languages and literatures, and Marcel Rotter. He's one of our German faculty, and he'll talk you through what you need to do. Occasionally we have a student who speaks a language fluently, but it's not one of the languages we offer. And so we have a process that we work with them to get the credit for the language.
Cool.
And there's some other placement. Occasionally there's the student who takes, for example, calculus in high school, but they never took the AP test,
right,
and they're interested in taking 2nd semester calculus. Well, the math department will offer a placement test to allow you to get out of 1st semester calculus and take 2nd semester calculus. There's also something similar in chemistry to help you make it's not a test in the traditional sense. It's just to decide where you should start, because we don't want to overwhelm you with material you're not ready for. We just want to help place you in the right starting spot.
Well, we're almost out of time. I think we are out of time.
Yeah, we are. And, there is a session now on the first year experience. And if you're concerned about your first semester, I strongly encourage you to go over there and check that out. April Wynn is fantastic. She's the
April's
director-
great. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, director of the first year experience.
Thanks
And
to
I'm
everybody
happy
for
to-
coming.
Yeah, I'll answer a few more of these questions. Yeah, thank you all for coming. Sign language, the answer is we accept sign language. We do not teach sign language. So if you happen to take sign language at, say, the community college and you want to transfer it in to satisfy your language requirement, we actually do allow that. We just don't teach it here. We don't have an instructor to teach sign language.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, thanks so much. Stay in touch if there's anything else we can do for you.
Absolutely. All right, Adam, do we need to do anything else for you?
Nope, you guys are great. Thanks so much. That was fantastic. I think that went really, really well.
Yeah, I think we had 24 at one point.
21, I think I counted at one point. So
Yeah, not counting us, yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that went really,
Good
really
deal.
Cool. All right, as always, a pleasure.
well. Thanks so much.
All good?
All right, have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Get in touch with me, Adam, if you want to.
Absolutely, we'll do. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.